Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Village Group Chat. I am your host, Selikka Wood.
One of the hosts, and I'm the other host, Mike Ross. But hey, we need to sometimes, maybe one day we can show our outtakes, kind of comprise those. Because you know how she be getting on me all the time when my voice be cracking, coughing on stuff. Literally, right when we were about to shoot this take, when she started on her little introduction, she was overwhelmed. It
went in my throat.
Like started coughing. Like I'm concerned about that mic. Whoever used that mic afterward, we need to get this thing professionally clean.
We got it together. I think the bloopers will be funny though. The outtakes, that would be funny. If we could get a code compilation of those, that would be hilarious. But you have way more than I do.
No. I'm the better host.
Okay.
I'm actually one of the hosts. I don't even want to say.
All right. So if you're so good, tell them why we're here.
Oh. We are here to provide hope, encouragement, and present some practical tips as we navigate our family's journey. We're here as a support system for you. We love being in that role.
Yeah.
We're excited about it.
Yeah. That's one of the great things about us being the leads of the family ministry. It's something that we're already so passionate about, where it makes things like this, us being able to do this podcast or be able to, curate events or whatever it is, even down to counseling, even though that can be taxing, it makes it not feel like so much of a job. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's hard work, but it's rewarding. It gives you like that rewarding feeling. So I'm thankful to be able just to do, we get to do a podcast as part of our job. To talk about what we care about anyway.
Do something that we love like that. I mean, again, like you said, it is work.
It's definitely
it's deadlines and responsibilities and accountability to our bosses, but
and it's being like emotional. I'm sorry, I ain't trying to get too deep, but it's an emotional outpour as well from us.
It's an aspect of who we are, and kind of being able to share this with all of the world. It's cracks.
Oh gosh,
cracks me up.
Is that you being emotional?
Yeah, I was being emotional like you.
You don't even have
Wow. All right, let's continue. All right. Well, thank you, listeners, for tuning in and checking us out. We are loving being like the old Zion family being present, new listeners, all those different things.
Yes.
How can they reach you if they want to connect with you?
You can connect with me on IG at no_ordinary_mom, or you can reach us at the Village Group Chat on IG.
Yeah, and I'm simple, Mike J. Rogers 1. Simple, Mike J. Rogers 1.
Very simple. Okay, you want to hop into the getting to know you?
Yeah, most definitely.
All right. So today's icebreaker, as we call it, getting to know you, is what would it take for you to give up your phone for a month?
So this wasn't what we had talked about before. What would it take for me to give up my phone for a month? Oh man, well, first and foremost, since we both have iPhones, I've been more intentional about embracing that feature where do not disturb. And so
But what if you had it out your possession? Like, what would it take for you to put it in a drawer?
It took forever.
Lock it.
It took forever for me to get to that, just utilizing that feature. Like, oh my goodness. And, and once it goes off of do not disturb in the morning time, 6:25 in the morning, there's so many different distractions there that, do take a lot of my time.
Yeah.
I don't know if I honestly would be able to say I can do that.
Wow.
I don't. Like it is aspects of my life. It's important not just for my job, but for my family. Yeah. Being able to connect with them. I don't know if I can. Maybe if it was like a day fast where I didn't,
A day.
yeah, like legit. Like I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah, it would be extremely hard for me too.
Yeah.
I don't know that I could do it, but the thought of it a little bit does make me feel like, man, I would have so much more of my time back.
But what would you do if you got that time back?
It was a time that you and I lived without phones. Like, we've lived that life before. I know it's hard to remember.
The 80s.
Yeah. No, even in the 90s, I didn't have a phone for like my teenage years. Even then, I wasn't tethered to our phone because we didn't have all of the apps and all that stuff. It was you could tell Bama's call you after 9:00 when your minutes is free.
Yeah. Then shoot, especially when we were living at home and the landline was on.
Yeah.
Like, even if you were having like dating somebody, they would have to call and kind of go through
yes. So we went significant years without being tethered to our phones, even when we had phones. So I don't know what it would take for me. Mine would take it breaking and not having money to get another one. I don't know. It would have to be some extreme circumstances for me to not.
Yeah. And the truth of the matter is the fact that you have like, what is like the iPhone 9.
It's probably, I think it's 8 maybe.
I mean, you're getting along.
But it works just fine.
Hey, you'd be dying like every
That's because
hour.
I don't be charging it.
Goodness,
it has nothing to do with my phone. It works for when you need to get through. How about that?
The important thing is your husband and your family. That's the priority.
They don't bother me the same way you do. Anyway, let's hop into the episode.
Yeah, most definitely. So continuing with what Pastor Battle has really been providing a level of encouragement for all of us who are in this season, in the Christian life. It can be overwhelming. And so the title of his series he began last week was
Pause. You think being a Christian is overwhelming?
Well, just life in general can be overwhelming.
Not life as a Christian.
Yeah, life as a Christian, it can also be overwhelming.
What kind of life you be living?
Not even when you're trying to align with what it is. When you look at what God has called us to do, then oftentimes there are decisions that we make to get a better relationship with Him that requires us cutting off certain things from the past. And when you see, especially with like social media nowadays, everything be looking like a party, and people only put forth the best images, the retakes, or the videos, and then when you're, it is the reality of the walking this life, a Christian life aligned by what God calls. It can be lonely at times, and so, and that's why I'm appreciative of this series. How he just is providing a level of encouragement for us all. Hey, as difficult as it may be, as overwhelming as it may be, keep on running.
Your Christian life is lonely. You said mine's be lit. My Christian life is lit.
Hey, I, in this season now,
you're right. You're right. There are moments where it's hard to make the right decision, which you know is the right decision. When you have to fight against so many other distractions.
Yeah. I wasn't planning on sharing this, but
yet here you are.
But here I am, and I do believe it kind of ties into a lot of what he was talking about, Pastor Battle, when he was talking in part 2. He used all of those the words that begin with P. Ultimately, looking at the prototype, which is Jesus, looking at your position. What pushed him, his perseverance, but then ultimately the prize. And even kind of as we explore that, looking back at at my experience, there were moments or times, even when I was in college, growing up inside of your family's, when there were definitely choices that I made that weren't aligned with what my parents were desiring. But, that I was staying at home. But when I went away to college, I went to a HBCU, Bowie State University. Your daughter.
That's where Sage goes.
Yep. Your daughter. And just being in that environment, I know when I first was a freshman, there was no one there saying, "Hey, you need to get to bed at this time." I was an extended student at Bowie State. I did get my degree though. Let's be clear. I did follow. It took
but you did it. It
took a long time. But with growing up inside of my family's household, there were a lot of structure in place, but getting there my freshman year, even before my freshman year, I actually was a part of this Trio Achievers program. And I was able to go and get like 6 credits through a summer program leading into Bowie State. And I'll never forget.
You had a head start, bro.
And it took. You hear all these jokes that you say. I did. I totally did.
But then you about to tell how you wilded out for a minute.
Shoot, I wilded out for a minute. I was an extended freshman. But just being in that environment where my parents weren't the ones saying, hey, you need to turn your light out. It's time to go to bed. Where I did have some friendships, and I also I knew I had a relationship with God, and I was intentional prior to Bowie State. I was intentional about spending time in the Word and different things like that. But and I'll never forget it. That freshman, well, not even the freshman year, that summer program, like that first week, I had like one of my friends who was there, but like once the day was over, I would be back in my room and opening up my Bible and going through devotions and stuff like that. And I never forget, one person knocked on my door, was like, hey man, Mike, you've been here for a week. Why don't you hang out with us?
Close that Bible up.
My God. And close our Bible up, was out wilding out. Again, those decisions that I made were on me. It was my responsibility. But I'm grateful to even be sitting in front of you guys as saying that I'm a college graduate.
Yeah, and a pastor too. I mean, that's an accomplishment as well.
Yeah, even just that. But that's one of the things that I've utilizing the examples that I had, and even just with Zion Church, like that was a game changer for me, because I grew up in the church, traditional Highland Park, standing up 5-6 times out of the service, them hard pews, them hard benches. I was exposed to just different skill sets that I was utilizing back then that I've really became we're pivotal in this transitional season that I have at Zion Church. But that example of just the prototype that we have oftentimes gives us encouragement to continue to move forward. And so what Pastor Battle did this week, he encouraged us all to focus on the promises, to continue to encourage us to fight, continue to hold on to. So I have a question based on what he asked. Why would you say it is so critical that we keep our eyes focused on Jesus, the ultimate prototype?
I think because that's just that's the blueprint. I used to always struggle. I was talking to somebody about this on Friday. I used to always struggle with, especially when I first became serious about my walk with Christ, about if we could never actually be like him, we could never, we'll never be perfect. He wasn't perfect either, but we could never, be him, achieve the perfection that he was, the level of perfection. So why is it something that we even strive to be? Why are we reaching for something that's not attainable? But as I grew in my faith, I started to understand what it was to be a Christian, and to be let that be the mark, let that be the goal. And it's helped me on my hardest of days. Those times when, you just mentioned, making decisions that could be do I do this or do I do that? It kind of makes you think it's kind of cliche, what would Jesus do? I mean, nobody really says that, but it kind of, I think, helps you to remember the heart of Jesus and who it is that you're representing. Yeah. And that's what I want to always make sure I'm putting out into the world.
Yeah, most definitely.
I know that was a long answer.
No, that definitely wasn't long. That was a full, transparent answer, because the reality is that there were some moments when I was involved in situations that I know I shouldn't have been in. I chose to go against what God's word was saying, and I'm going to be held accountable for that when I get before God at the end of my life. But that was something that was always driving me. I'm going to have to give an account for my actions, for my decisions. And I know, even tying back to those college years, oh man, there were plenty of moments. There were plenty of times where I would bend the rules to get ahead or take advantage. And that's why I'm praying. Y'all pray with me. Just let my man Joe Biden pass the loan forgiveness.
Oh, Lord, please.
Oh my goodness, man. It is, by me making certain decisions, I've accrued a good amount of debt when it comes to finances. But
it's also remembering who you representing too, though, because when we go to be we want others to want to be Christians. We want them to want to have a relationship with Christ. But if we out here like for real, like wilding out, like cussing people out and getting upset, I mean, and like those are things that happen. We are human. I get it. But I'm just saying, like for me, I think about those things in some of my reactions because Lord knows, especially when I was younger, I definitely would have spazzed on some people, and I wouldn't think twice about it. But now I'm thinking it literally be times that I'm like, for one thing, I'm representing Zion Church, I'm representing Christ, I'm representing my children. You know what I mean? Like I'm representing the family ministry. Like it's certain, you just never know who's watching, and I don't want to ever be fake, but I want to be real in who Christ has called me to be and be like a good representative of him. So I'm just like I'm mindful of it.
Yeah, I think that's good what you said. It's not being fake, but you being mindful of who I'm representing, because our lives do reflect. If we're out there proclaiming to be aligned with God, people are looking and paying attention to our actions. Tangibly speaking, you brought up the experience or the example of, hey, your profession is you're working for a church. And so working for a church, positive or negatively, oftentimes people will take our actions and say, hey, this is representative of what God is doing. So that's a level of accountability that we have to function with
on this earth.
Yeah, especially with some people who proclaim, and I understand, I get that, but I never want the example, the decisions that I'm making to be a poor reflection of God.
Yep. That is so true. That is so very true.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. So a few other things that he did. He talked about, again, definitely go back and check these things out. I believe it's important. Even as we continue to talk about this, I know there are moments and times when Pastor Battle does some series, maybe not Pastor Battle, when you're confronted with something, I believe it's important for us to put some of those things on repeat.
Yeah.
Don't just watch it once or come back to it. Going and looking at some of the scriptures that he talked about. And I feel like this is another series that will be something that we reference. But he also talked about, and again, the topics were prototype, position, what pushed him, and when I say him, Christ, his perseverance, then also his prize. So the example that he shared was the experience that Christ had gone through for us. We all, I don't know if you saw, but we've all had it depicted through the Passion of Christ with Mel Gibson. But just being able to see what he endured for us when he was whipped and he was when he was betrayed and even just when his they like the way they treated people were so cruel back then, especially those who were going to be hung or sentenced to death. Even just the crucifixion, that in and of itself is, where you're suffocating.
And your body literally breaks down. From inside out.
Yeah. And just thinking about what he's gone through and what he's gone through and making it personal. He is that same opportunity is afforded to so many people, but he was thinking about me when he did that. And even just with some of what Pastor Battle was sharing, what Christ went through, having your friend. Shoot, we get mad when our friends betray us, when our friends put something out on Instagram or talk back to us or disrespect us or talk behind our back. But having people who you are sacrificing your life for, who you were walking with for an extended period of time, when it comes down to it, being nowhere to be found, I can only imagine what he was feeling back then.
Yeah, the level of betrayal. And I feel like it's just a depiction also that like suffering will happen. For us, our level of suffering may not be that, being crucified, but we have all been through something. And if you haven't, you will one day, go through something that just tears you up. You just don't understand why me? Why am I feeling like this? But just knowing like let him be the example. Like he did he had to go through all of that. Went through all of that for us. But the prize was now he's sitting at the, right hand of God. Right hand of God. And for us, I think it's just remembering that we will get through those moments. It won't always be like that. And suffering happens. And we gotta get through it, I guess. You know what I mean? And really rely on the strength that, Christ has given us. God has given us to be able to make it through those times.
Yeah, yeah. And that also, what you were saying also just is, it's so pivotal to make sure that we have a strong community. I know y'all gonna get tired of us saying this, but like I don't know where I would be without my community.
Oh, for
without
sure.
my family, and without the support. Like it is like people, you will go crazy in this thing called life if you do not have some good people that can be sounding board.
Yeah.
People that you can share. Hey, I'm just not feeling it today.
Yeah. Life in isolation is that's torture. People, I feel so bad for people who like subscribe to, for one thing, no new friends, or I don't be with nobody. I just be by myself. I just do this, I do that. I get it, but a lot of those things are like derived from hurt and pain that you got gotten from, maybe being in the wrong circle, or people didn't, support you. But I do not know how I would make it through my life without like my village, the people that I can call and vent to, those people who are going to hold me accountable. Like that's one of the practical ways I would say that I've stayed connected to Christ. One of the things that I do is making sure I'm having conversations with people who I believe are like stronger in the faith than I am, because so I can get different insight and I can, just learn more. And even, friendships, my circle, just making sure that I'm staying connected with people, because when you're in isolation, any little thing that you go through, the devil will make you think that you are the only one who is going through that. Nobody will ever understand. And that's not the case. Yeah. We were not meant to do life alone.
Yeah. That's so good. And shoot, man, even with your one of your previous roles, you were essentially really building those foundations for people to connect.
Yeah, the life groups. Yeah. And I loved it too. That was great when I was doing that. But I just know I see the value in my own life.
Yeah, most definitely, definitely. Well, this conversation's been good. I mean, when you look at my notes, I don't feel like we covered all that, but I think it was free, it was flowing, and then also I believe it was valuable to our listeners. So
before we go though, do you got any practical ways that you do, besides having like your friends, like anything you do like on a regular basis to make sure that you just staying strengthened?
Yeah. Some practical things that I do to make sure that I remain aligned with God. First and foremost, again, there are definitely moments and times when books are important, when you need to dive down deeper, but utilizing the Bible app, like just continuing to go through like devotions, that's like, it's so many people who are skilled and gifted in that area. So making sure I stay connected with just some type of devotional is important. That's one of the ways. Another thing, I love music, and I know how important music is to all of our lives. So I try to make sure I am intentional about reminding or focusing on not just gospel music, like, knee slapping but like some good sounding Christian music, some CCM I do like, but even with Maverick City, all those different ways. So making sure that I'm intentional throughout the day with cutting off some old school hip hop or whatever it is, and then finding ways to continue to surround myself with that. And so just some practical ways is just the Bible app, and also making sure I'm connected with. And
I would say one other thing I just thought about, you were talking, like prayer is so important to me. I pray every single day, and sometimes twice a day, but definitely once a day I'm praying. And Pastor Larry, I forgot what was the name of the message he did on Father's Day. It began with an M, but in Pastor Larry Page.
I remember.
Yeah.
And he kind of mapped it out.
Yeah, but one of the things that he mentioned was about praying and like not making it fluffy. Like for real, talk to God just how you would talk to anybody else, because he already knows. But it was because I'm a person who prays often. it was such a great reminder to me, like, nah, don't get fake with God. Like, be real with him. And if you got real cares, real problems, real gratefulness and thankfulness, make sure you are saying all of those things when you're talking to him. And that message right there was like just what I needed.
Now, I know if I share this, you're going to end up laughing or something like that. But we are serious. There definitely are moments when, I believe we should come to God, adoration and when you were consistently praying. But, my prayer life is just a conversation. There will be times when, like, I see something happen. I'm like, man, God, I'm relying on you. So it's an open line of communication with him. Definitely like the systemic and formal connection with him. But I found that helpful with just like he's talking to legit one of my friends, man. Like this, man, I'm blown. This happened. And God, there are also moments where, again, we should come to him formally, but man, like, help me, God. You know?
On Friday, and then I know we got to go. On Friday, I was just talking to someone, and they were telling me that they never felt like they heard, and they're grown in their faith. They said they had never felt like they had heard God's voice or whatever. He was like, I hear other people say, God said this to me, or the Holy Spirit spoke to me, and I've never heard that. Like, he was like, sometimes I have like a feeling in my gut or something like that, but never like a voice. And I told him, I said, the funny thing is, every time that I've only heard from God 2 times in my entire life where I felt like I heard an audible voice. I've shared this on here before. Both of those times I was in a position to receive what he had to say. I was in a praying position at both of those times where I heard God's voice. And so I was like, oftentimes people who say they haven't heard from God's voice, you got to make sure that you're in a position to receive what it is that he has to say. And it may not be audible, but you'll know when it's the voice of God talking to you about a situation. I've been alive for 40 years and only 2 times have I heard his voice. But both of those times that I remember, I was open to receiving.
I know I have similar experience, and we've talked about that too. And it is, there will be moments where where I do believe, but my experience, like, it's only been 4 or 5 times out of my 40 years here on this earth where I've audibly heard him saying, but a lot of it came through conviction and community. It came through scripture, like him he's capable. The Bible is a living word, so making sure we're tapped and tuned into that consistently, he'll remind us of something that we may have read or something that we may have witnessed or something that we may have saw or a message. And so that is critical to us just continuing to function in this life.
That was so good.
Strengthen our perseverance.
And
even giving us, peace. And
to keep running. Keep running.
Keep running.
This race is not for the weak.
Keep running.
So, well, this was good, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Just as a reminder, please reach out to us. You can reach out to us on Instagram at the Village Group Chat. Me personally at no_ordinary_mom.
And Mike J. Rogers 1.
And we're going to continue to follow the series and just kind of just give you our interpretation of, what we received after listening to it. And we pray that this episode was just a blessing to you as well.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.
Peace.